Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Knights of the Alternate Table. And today we're going to be revisiting what if Gran Columbia stayed together. This time we finished off World War I and we're heading into the beginning of a new world. A world where some things aren't fair to other countries and an economic collapse. Be sure to watch to the end and hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you. The U.S. would be hit hard in this peace treaty, with most northern states being annexed by Canada, including all of New England, with the Confederates evening out their borders and gaining the other half. All that would be left would be Michigan, Wisconsin, New York, and Ohio, and others. So, this would create a state of rage in the U.S. to be so belittled. For the rest of Europe, since the war was overly all the same besides more casualties, all that would end up happening would be another Treaty of Versailles, with some more restrictions, like having to pay a fully debt, and the US wouldn't get a say in anything, so more of France's policies would be in line, though Germany would not be broken up, as of Britain's wishes. In Germany, we would see another similar mustache man rise to power and take over, but this time it would be easier. They would have more time to prepare, even more resources and more nationality, as Germany was hurt, broken. Without the US to give lighter implements, Germany would be mad at the Allies and those who have wronged them. The US would join Nazi Germany on the far right, wanting to have revenge against all of those Spaniards and Hispanics who wronged them by fighting with the Confederacy, their greatest enemy. They would also commit horrible atrocities throughout the war that no one should ever have to go through. Then Nazi Germany would lead the charge of Nazism. Meanwhile, the previous victors, especially Gran Columbia, Great Britain, and the Confederacy, would suffer a horrible economic decline, putting them out of jobs, money, and overall have a horrible economy. This would hurt any war efforts they had to try and fight the new Axis powers that was slowly arising on their borders. Meanwhile, Germany annexes Austria. The US would do the same to New England to have their states more. The New Englanders wanting to be back a part of the US now that they know that their American would quickly join them, as most of their populations are white or African American. This would help their cause greatly. In what our timeline was known as the Tripartite Pact, the Wirtschaftspact, because it was Germany's idea to include the US in this Axis powers, would form. They would all help each other out and become the best of allies to each other to defend one another from any threats that dare attack them. The Axis powers would have Nazi Germany, the US, Japan, Italy, Yugoslavia, and Bulgaria, as all of these nations felt that the Treaty of Versailles was unfair to them and ruined them. Yugoslavia would be influenced by Germany and Hungary aggression to join. Meanwhile, the Allies would have their standard allies included with Gran Colombia and the CSA. In North America, the US would be destroyed almost immediately, as by the time it declared war on all of its neighbors, it would just be smashed by the Confederacy, Canada, and Gran Columbia to invade. The US would fight hard, but would not win, and they would overall be 2 years in war. In the main battle, Gran Colombian troops would be sent over immediately. This would be a huge help, but Blitzkrieg would still win out. Even though all sides were ready to fight, Germany would invade Benelux and Poland, while the rest of the countries start sending men to the front to help fight, or in Africa to stop any British attacks and to gain more British and French land. Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Poland would be defeated pretty quickly as the German blitzkrieg strategy would be held. This would scare France and Britain and Gran Colombia, who would start looking for new allies, while Italy and Germany would start looking for new enemies to invade. But they would have a successful attack, in which would be huge. The huge victory being defeating France. British troops would try to evacuate, with Gran Colombian troops and French troops holding off, but the Gran Colombian troops would beg for the British to help them get home. They would have to send their own ships. This would be very costly on Gran Colombia's troops, and many would be captured and many would be killed. With this huge victory, Germany would invade Czechoslovakia, as they wouldn't do so in our timeline, as they wanted a quick war with their new allies, and the Soviet Union because they thought they could take them, while Italy invades Greece, which would be as well as it did in our timeline, only Germany couldn't help with the multiple fronts they had to defend. This would create a great landing point for British troops to invade through Greece. In this timeline, Czechoslovakia would be defeated through Hungary, but Hungary would be defeated by the Soviet Union. You may ask, they were totally unprepared in this. Well, in this timeline, since Poland wasn't split between them, as the Germans thought they wouldn't need a new ally with the economic power of the US, they would be ready for a war with Germany and would quickly invade them. Bulgaria would be crushed while Greece invades them. They would have no choice but to surrender, while Italy is taking more and more casualties from Africa and the Greece front. Yugoslavia is also hurting, but having to hold off Greece as the main push into Bulgaria, what Britain saw as the stronger of the two and the one they needed to collapse most begins. Yugoslavia would be next, as since the British didn't need to go through invading France, would open another front with the Greeks and would quickly crush Yugoslavia, while Italy, seeing the tides turn, would begin to doubt Mussolini, while the Nazis are still holding up in Germany, waiting for an invasion in France. Italy, as in our timeline, would turn on Germany, quickly crushing them from having to fight a three-front war after Britain invaded France. This would quickly turn into a Cold War scenario, only with Gran Colombia instead of the USSR. The USSR wouldn't be able to form its bloc, as most of the Balkans would become democracies. And then in the east, since Hawaii never became a US state, Japan would try to invade them because they were a close ally to the British and a naval power. This would be no threat, as Japan would simultaneously invade China, Britain, and Hawaii. Easy, right? That's what they would think. But the British have more colonies than the Japan armies to fight. Hawaii and China would quickly be destroyed, and Britain would take heavily amounts of casualties against Japan, and Japan would take even more from Britain, as their invasion of Australia was not successful, and the British fighting with Hawaiians and Chinese men to try and save them from being crushed. It would be a 1v1 between Britain and Japan. would be the last Axis member to be defeated, giving Britain control of pretty much the entire Pacific Ocean. This would be huge for Britain, and I don't think that the sun would ever quite set on their empire as it did in our timeline. Thanks everyone for watching. I have been producing a lot more content as I'm on winter break, so I'm going to try and keep doing this once winter break ends, but don't fear, I'll be here to stay. Thank you all for watching. If you would please subscribe and like, and yeah, just thanks for watching, and I'll do a 50 subscriber special if we ever reach that. We're currently on 38 at the time of posting.